Hello everyone, my name is Makeda Voletta, also known as the Body Scientist. And if you're not familiar with who I am a sports nutritionist and exercise physiologist. I have a degree in nutrition science, a background in the biological sciences. Um, so this video, and I have lots of videos on my page about different health issues, fitness, nutrition, health. This video is about water and the water crisis on the planet. The recent situation with what is going on in Flint, Michigan, has basically sparked a lot that people are a little naive and unaware of. So we have this situation where the water is poisoned, and Flint was trying to add more chlorine to the water to make it drinkable, when really we shouldn't be drinking chlorine, and there's chlorine in the water of most cities. So there are some celebrities who've donated water, sent like bottles of water to Flint, and see, that creates a further problem, because bottled water, first of all, we don't want to drink water that's in plastic bottles. There's nothing good about that. Plastic puts a whole bunch of toxic chemicals into our water and into our food. So not only do we have that, but we also have all the garbage that the plastic bottles create that basically just cause a serious environmental problem. So if everybody feels like the only water they can drink, I mean, tons of people drink out of plastic water bottles every day. You go to any bodega, store, drugstore, supermarket, whatever, gym, they got bottles of water. And not just water, I mean like plastic bottles of water. And water's not the only thing that's in plastic. So we have so much plastic that's being used that is adding to the environmental problems that we have. And it's not good to drink out of plastic anyway. So the thing is that there's a water crisis on the planet. Okay, so it's there really isn't a good source of water. And just like with the food system, it's really best to get things that are local from our local environment, because it puts less stress on the environment. Like if, for example, Fiji water, doesn't matter what state I'm in America, whether I'm in a supermarket or a drugstore, everybody has Fiji water. Fiji is really far away. So to think that in all 50 states of America you can find Fiji water in abundance almost everywhere you go, that's crazy. That if that water really is from Fiji, because they could be lying, but that's crazy that that much water is being taken from one area and distributed around the United States in plastic bottles. You can be sure that if that water is coming from Fiji, that the company has a monopoly on that water and is probably telling the people of Fiji that they can't drink that water. But regardless, how is water in one area going to supply water to the whole of the United States? That's not good for the environment. That's a lot of flying, all the gasoline and the exhaust and pollution that we cause from just trying to transport, all the buses and planes that are necessary to transport water from Fiji all around the United States. That's just water. Then we have the same situation with the food. So much of the food that we eat comes from another country or across the country. All of this puts environmental stress, which is interesting because the vegan community, they talk a lot about how eating animals puts so much stress, methane gas and stuff up in the air, but they don't talk about the fact that all of the shipping of produce, so much of the produce that we consume in the East Coast comes from the West Coast. So much of the produce in America comes from another country. I was in Jamaica and saw produce from other places. So that creates tons of environmental stress. So now we have a lot of people talking about alkaline water. And that's another thing that I have never been a fan of, never recommended to my clients. I'm called the body scientist for a reason. I am very scientific. I do thorough research from a lot of different perspectives. And I have a background in chemistry and biology to understand. Not only do I have a background in biology and chemistry, I also have a background in the health sciences, namely nutrition sciences and exercise physiology, muscle physiology, biomechanics, kinesiology, like those things. But to really understand nutrition, you have to understand some chemistry. And this is why a lot of people fall for the okie doke in propaganda. Now, alkaline water. So people are using these big ionizers to make the water alkaline. In our body, we have to have a balance of alkalinity and acidity. Too much alkalinity is not good for us, and too much acidity is not good for us. Then different parts of our body need different things. Some parts of our body are acidic, like our stomach, and for women, our vaginal canal. You know, if your vaginal canal is alkaline, you would have a lot of infections and problems. So acids and bases both have their place. The issue with alkaline water is that water should be naturally alkaline. And that happens from waters we get from the springs, which is probably the best water you could consume right now because all the other water is definitely polluted and has its problems and challenges. So when water runs down mountains, it naturally grabs the minerals and stuff from the rocks and becomes naturally alkaline and has the minerals that it needs. When you're taking tap water or water from somewhere else and you're putting it through an ionizer machine, it doesn't have the minerals that it's supposed to have, which are necessary for the water to even buffer the blood to make it less acidic. So alkaline water doesn't have those minerals. And then the machine that artificially does it, it splits the molecules in a way that is actually toxic for us. And there's a lot of ill health problems that have been that have come up due to people drinking too much artificially alkaline water. And tons of people go into the store to alkalize the water. Now, who in the world does that? Like, I believe in traditional foods. I believe in doing what has shown to work over generations. And I believe in nature, getting things from nature, because the more we deviate from nature, the more it backfires on you. So using a big machine to alkalize your water, that's not good. And like I said, when you try to bystep things and artificially do things, it backfires on you. Nature is fine-tuned. So in naturally alkaline water, there should be minerals. In artificially alkaline water, there isn't. So it becomes toxic for us. And I put some articles below in this video that you can check out. But it just shows that there is definitely a water crisis on the planet. And the question I would like to ask to a lot of vegans, because I truly believe that veganism is an eating disorder, and I have a video on my page called Examining Vegan Propaganda. But there are many vegans people become vegans for different reasons, but there are many who say that because of the commercial food industry, what they do to cows, pigs, and chickens, they decide to eat no animal foods. When in reality, you could eat animals that are not affected by the commercial food industry, like deer and gator and frogs and raccoons and possums and goats and lamb. And you can also get food like chickens, pigs, and cows that are not touched by the commercial food industry from local farmers. So, number one, it's not to cut out all animal foods, to cut out everything that comes from an animal because you don't like the way some chickens, pigs, and cows are being treated by the commercial food industry is totally illogical. Because the commercial food industry, everything that comes from the commercial food industry is fucked up. And that includes the fruits and vegetables. They're in a worse place because of GMOs and monocropping. They're in a worse place than animal foods. Now we talk about the water. And the water is worst of all. It's almost impossible to find like a really good water source unless you're going to like go to a spring. And so would it be smart to say, you know what, I'm not going to drink any water at all? Because all the water on the planet has problems. If you trade this problem in for that problem, so I'm just not going to drink water. Would that make any sense? Don't we still need water? Don't we all have to do the best that we can do to get the best water we can get, even if it's not perfect? So why then does it make sense for vegans to say, I'm not eating any animal foods because there's issues with these few animals here? Every country doesn't treat their animals bad. And in America, there's tons of options for good animal foods that's not tainted by the commercial food industry. But instead of vegans finding that, they say, I'm not eating any of it. And that's one of the reasons why I call it an eating disorder. That's illogical and doesn't make any sense. The fruits and vegetables, the plants are GMO'd up, sprayed up with pesticides and herbicides. They are irrigated, they are monocropped, they're grown in soil that's not fertile, that is depleted of nutrients actually. And people still eat fruits. I've never seen somebody say, I'm not eating any plant foods at all. I'm just going to eat animal foods. I've never heard anybody say that. Ever. I know people have been omnivores where they eat animals and plants. But I've never heard someone say 100% I'm not eating anything that comes from a plant. But vegans say I'm not going to eat anything that comes from an animal because they treat these chickens bad. That doesn't make any sense. Because that would be the equivalent to going on a water strike, which is only detrimental to yourself. So, my approach to health and nutrition is looking at what is vital for health and what are the best sources of it. What are the most nutrient dense? What are the richest sources, the cleanest sources of these things? And so the situation with water right now, springs are the best, but they can be very difficult to get access to. Not everyone lives within that, that kind of in an area in a close proximity to a spring. But definitely using alkaline machines, tap water, that has chlorine and all these other chemicals. The waters from the ocean, like all this stuff is so polluted. And so the reality is that there is a water crisis. And perhaps people need to wake up and care more. But water in plastic bottles is not the option. Not the answer. Because plastic is causing more problems than we can count on this planet. From the garbage of it to drinking and eating out of it. So just something to think about. If you like this video, please join my YouTube page and share it. Hope you found it helpful, and I'll probably do another video just on alkaline water going more in depth soon. Okay, bye people.